Hi there, this is Unmesh from PiXimperfect. I hope you're doing amazing. And in all honesty, I'm not really sure whether there's anything which is officially called a 3-point color correction. I just made it up because we start with 3 samples and it's super simple to do. Now, if you're wondering about the 3 eyedroppers on curves, you're thinking very right. Congratulations. But most of the times, the 3 points are just not enough. There's a thing called compensation, and we're gonna learn about that today. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here we are again in the magical world of Photoshop, and if you want to go ahead and download this photo and follow along, check the links in the description. The first thing that we have to do, the first step, is color correcting with those 3 samples. Okay, so create a curves adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves right there. Now let's stick it to the left hand side so that you can see what's happening. Have a look at this. It has 3 eyedroppers. The first, second, third. Now the first one, look at the tip of the eyedropper. It has black on it, which means it sets the black point. The middle one has a tip of the color gray. It sets the gray point. And the bottom one has white. It sets the white point. Now let's start with the black point. Let's click on it. Here's where things get interesting. Now click on an area which should have been black in real life. So while you were taking the picture, in the real scenario, which area should have been black or close to black? See, nothing can be absolutely black unless it's very dark and there's no light coming in. There's a little bit of light going in everywhere in this image. So nothing can be exactly black. Just select an area, just pick an area which is closest to black. So click on an area close to black or you think which is absolutely black. So I'm just gonna zoom in and I think this area could have been black, not purple. So click on that area. Now you get a pretty better tone, but it's all greenish. Wait, there's a little bit of patience to be maintained. Now select the white point, gray point in the end. Okay, so white point. Now which area should have been white or close to white in real life? It's important to note close to white because we will be using compensation later. So click on this one and then choose a point which should have been white. Click on that. Wow, that works. You can also try clicking on separate areas and also you can choose the sample size. Make sure it's not point sample. What happens is if you choose point sample, it will only sample from that 1 pixel. That 1 pixel can be dark, that 1 pixel can be a noise, so you can sample a very wrong color. So make sure there's an average. 5x5, 11x11, 3x3, depending upon the resolution and the type of image we are dealing with. If you choose 5x5, what that does is that it makes a square of 5x5 pixels and it takes the average color of that area. So 5x5 is fine for this example. I'm just going to click in a couple of places and it works. Now it's time for us to set the gray point. So click on the middle. Now click on an area in the image which should have been gray in real life or next or close to gray. We need to pick an area which should not even have a touch of color in real life. Alright, so in this case, it's going to be this area. So this should have been gray. So I'm just going to click there and click in a couple places to see which area gives me a better result. So this is fine. There's a little bit of blue. We'll take care of that in compensation. Have a look at it. Just 3 points. Here's the before, here's the after. We have come a long way. The next step is compensation. You see, when we chose the black point and the white point, we chose an area which is close to absolute black because there's no absolute black area in this image. So what happens is when you say to Photoshop that this is a black point, it makes that area completely, absolutely black, which is not in real life, right? And when you click on an area and say to Photoshop, hey, this is the white point, it makes it absolutely white. It takes away all the details. We don't want any of that to happen, right? So here is what we do. We compensate for it. So let's zoom in. Let's talk about the black point again. As you can see, it has made this area completely black and we are losing details in this area. So let's get back to the RGB channel. Make sure you're in the RGB channel and then let's raise up the shadows. Just like so. Just click and raise. Not too much. Just to the point where you get back all the details. So in my opinion, it's going to be this. Let's zoom out a little bit. Have a look at this. We are losing details in this area, right? So we will take down the highlights. click and drag it down. You see, we got the details back. Now we have compensated for the white point and the black point. Now sometimes the gray point is not very accurate, so you need to compensate for that as well. As you can see, in the midtones there's a lot of blues, so we need to decrease the blues, right? So we will go to the blue channel, click on the channel drop down menu, and let's go ahead and choose blue. So whoops, I chose green. Let's choose blue. And in the midtones we just need to reduce it. So click on the middle, just bring it down just like that, and as you can see, it solves the issue so very easily. Also, as you can see, have a look here. There's a lot of green on his face, and we just hate green on skin tones, right? So we're gonna go to the green channel, click on the channel drop down menu, and let's choose green. And this time we can use the hand tool. That's one of the most amazing tools in Photoshop. You don't even have to look in the curves. So select the hand tool right there, and then you need to reduce the green, right? Click on a green area just like that, click and drag it down to reduce it. As easy as that. So we reduced it to the point where we liked it. Now you can just manipulate it inside of curves. So I'm just gonna take it down like that. Maybe midtones, I'll take it a little down to take away the greens, and it looks all right. And at this point, everything looks all right. Maybe we'll have to decrease the blue as well. So we'll go to the blue channel, and maybe let's use the hand tool, and here's a lot of blues. So we can just take care with this point and zoom out and see. Let's have a look. Here is the before, here is the after. We have solved a lot. Now let's zoom in. I think there's a little bit of green over here again. So again, we will go to the green channel, and we'll just play with this area to see what we can do. Now, since we have darkened this area so much, let me just take it down even more. We have to compensate for it again. Let's go to the RGB channel, right? This area we have to compensate. See? Because we darkened green too much in that area, it makes the overall luminosity of the image a little lower. It makes the image darker in that area. So we need to just compensate for that. Have a look at the green. It's going so much down. We need to balance it out in the RGB channel. So something like that. So that's the idea behind compensation. Again, if you go to the blue channel, let's say you decrease the blues in the middle, maybe somewhere here. Okay. Then you might have to come to the RGB channel to compensate for the same, just like so. Now that we have done that, our next step is color grading. Now, color grading is very different from color correction. Color correction is correcting the colors, getting them right. Color grading is using colors to stylize your image, to add mood to it, to add style to it. Okay, it might not be realistic, it might not be accurate, but it's about adding the style and the mood. So let's create one more curves adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves. Now, I want to give the whole image a warm Christmas feel. So here is what we do. We go to the blue channel. Now, how do we make things warm? By adding yellow and red, right? So we are in the blue channel and there's no yellow channel, right? But blue is the opposite of yellow. Always remember, RGB is the opposite of CMY. Red opposite of cyan, green opposite of magenta, and blue opposite of yellow. So if we decrease the blue, we will get yellow, right? So let's decrease the blue to get an overall yellow tint to this. Okay, now I think maybe we can use a little bit of magenta. So let's go to the green channel, and if we decrease the green, we get a little bit of magenta. Great. Now let's go to the red channel and let's increase the red just a touch, not so much, just a touch. Now let's go to the RGB channel. We have to balance for this one. All right, so we have added a thin layer of color grading on top of it. Looks amazing. Now in my experience, whenever we are dealing with a lot of curves adjustment layers, there comes a point where you need to control the colors. More often than not, the saturation just increases. So we will create a hue saturation adjustment layer by clicking on the adjustment layer icon and then choosing hue saturation, right? And then simply just decrease the saturation to somewhere around -16 works. We can always change that later. Now it's time for us to balance the light. As you can see in this image, this area has gone a little darker. So we need to create a curves adjustment layer again. So click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves and just increase it. Take it to the top just like this. Now select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I to invert the mask. Then you would take the brush tool, just simply with a soft brush and flow at 100, you can just paint on that area, which is dark. So just paint on that one and it'll be fine. Smoothness, we don't need it, just decrease it to 0. And make sure you're using the soft round brush. That's fine. Okay. Now I have purposely painted a little extra. Press X to toggle between the foreground and the background. Black hides and white shows up. So I'm going to paint with black to hide the extras, to give it a much more smoother transition. Press X again to change it to white. Maybe a little dab over right there. That makes it nice. Now let's control the curve. It's too bright, I know. Let's control it. Let's decrease it a bit, just like so. Now at this point in this area, I think there's a lot of green. So we'll go to the green channel and we will reduce the greens in the dark areas. So we'll just pick a point on the left hand side and just reduce it, just like that. And take it up in the bright areas. Okay, now let's turn it off and turn it on. Have a look at the difference. Also at the same time, you can go to the red channel. Maybe there's a lot of red over there. So we'll just take down the reds a little bit. Okay, and let's just brighten it even more. Yes, this is beautiful. Now, let's create one more curves adjustment layer. And this time I feel there's still a little bit of green over there. So create a curves and we'll directly go to the green channel. And with the help of the hand tool, we'll take this further even down like that. Okay. Now, I'm only going to paint in that area inside of the mask. Click on the mask, press Ctrl or Command I, and then just simply take the brush and make it small. With white as the foreground color, just paint on the areas where you think there's a lot of green. This area is good. That area needs to be painted. This is fine. Also, do not forget compensation. Because you lowered the green, you need to compensate for it. Just increase the brightness in the RGB channel and it works fine. Now as you can see, no matter what you do, the area in the cloth that he's wearing, there's always this color. So we will add a Hue Saturation adjustment layer again. Click on the adjustment layer icon and choose Hue Saturation and take it all the way to the left. Just like this, not too much. This is fine. Click on the mask, press Ctrl or Command I. Now take the brush, white as the foreground color, white shows up, black hides, and just paint over here to take away all those color casts like that. You can also paint this area as well. Now of course this is too much, so we will increase the saturation a bit, something like that, and that looks fine. Now it's time for us to add a little bit of pop and contrast to this image. So again, create a curves adjustment layer. It's a whole load of curves. Now hold the Alt or Option, this is interesting, and take this slider to the left. Just when you begin to see the artifacts, stop. So at this point I'll stop right there and hold the Alt or Option from the left hand side, drag it to the right. Stop where you begin to see the artifacts, just like that. That way you expand the dynamic range. Now you can again just maybe make it a little brighter from the middle and make it darker here, and it looks nice. Now as you can see, these areas are getting too red, right? So create a Hue Saturation adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer again and choose Hue Saturation. Now you can choose to just reduce the red as well. So we're gonna go to the red channel, click on the drop down menu, and let's go ahead and choose reds. You can expand the range a little bit and simply reduce the saturation of the red to the point where it looks normal. So this looks normal, this looks nice. Click on the mask, press Ctrl or Command I, and then just paint on the areas where you want it to reduce the red. So take the brush, foreground color white, just paint on this area. That was kind of too red over there. Then you can control the opacity. Just maybe I'll keep it 53, 54. That is fine. Now, how about we add some sharpening to it? Wouldn't that be awesome? So we need to create a stamp visible layer. Press Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E. Command, Option, Shift and E on a Mac. Alright, now go to Filter, Convert for Smart Filters. This converts this into a smart object so that whatever value of sharpening we apply, we can change that later. So we will go to Filter, Other, and then High Pass. Now, all you need to do is to take the radius all the way to the left hand side. Now gradually increase it. Just when you see the edges are accentuated, stop. And we don't want any halos here and there. So not so much. Maybe this is going to be fine. 5.6. Okay, you can change this later. Don't worry about it. Change the blend mode from normal to overlay. Okay, this is looking fine, but we didn't want any sharpening at the back. So create a mask and take the brush, foreground color black, and just paint black on these areas. We did not want any sharpening over there. Sharpening here is fine. You know what? I'll make one more copy of this one. This is sharpening. Let's name it sharpening 1. Press Ctrl or Command J to make a copy. Now, this copy, I'll take the mask and paint away the chair. I just want to sharpen the face in this one. Some extra sharpening on the face. Just the face. Maybe double click on the high pass and then play with the radius. Zoom in quite a bit. This time let's set the radius to somewhere around 7.6. That is fine. Hit OK. Now let's decrease the opacity. Maybe let's increase it slowly and gradually to 60%. Let's zoom out. This is amazing. Now, at the end, you can do anything you want. I'm going to add a selective color adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose selective color. We need a little bit of darkness on the lips and on the cheek. So we will go to the red. We will target the reds and make sure relative is checked and then just increase the blacks. It makes that area darker. Have a look at the difference. Amazing, right? So there we go. Let's have a look at the before and after. So this is the before and this is the after. Even I'm surprised. Maybe at the end, I will add a hue saturation adjustment. I believe there's so much saturation and I'll just decrease it like that. You can also add a color lookup table if you want. Let's try it. Click on the adjustment layer and choose color lookup. And we're going to choose crisp warm. Let's see how, wow, that is really great. Let's keep the opacity to 42, 43. Now let's have a look at the before and after. So this is the before and this, my friend, is the after. So that's how to color correct, starting with 3 samples, 3-point color correction. I don't know whether that's the official name, but that's okay. It makes sense to you. Let's do a quick little recap. The first thing we do is add a curves adjustment layer, very obvious. And then using the 3 points, we sample the 3 areas which should have been white, black, and gray in real life. Then we adjust it. Then we compensate for it. If you click on an area which is close to black, it will make that area completely black. You need to compensate for it in the RGB channel by increasing the brightness in that area. And then sometimes it's going to add a lot of greens, a lot of blues. You need to just compensate for it and go in the opposite direction. Then we did a little bit of color grading. We added a little style to it. Okay. And then we controlled the saturation. Whenever we deal with a lot of curves adjustment layer, the colors go haywire. So we need to just dim it down a little bit. Then we balanced the brightness. Here it was too dark. We just balanced it up. After that, we also added one more curves adjustment layer to kind of take away the greens in this area. And then we took away all the colors in some of the areas by just hue saturation. Have a look. This area had a lot of color. If I just click it on, this will become completely white. Of course, we need to refine the mask in that area. That is something which you need to take time to do. And then we added one more curves adjustment layer to add some contrast and punch to it. One more hue saturation adjustment layer to just decrease the reds in this area. Now, if you open it right now, you'll see it's on normal, but it's not. If you go to reds, you'll see it is decreased. After that, we sharpened it. We added one more layer of sharpening on the face and then a selective color adjustment layer to darken the reds a little bit. Hue saturation to again dim down the colors, and at the end a color lookup table. That's your personal choice and depends upon your personal taste. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope this tutorial helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe. Ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other future tip, trick or tutorial. I would like to take this moment to thank all these nice and amazing people for supporting this channel on Patreon and helping keep PiXimperfect free for everybody forever. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.